All right, 3 o'clock chat here. The Trailblazers remain on fire. They bounce back after Sunday's loss to the Cavs and hammer the Sixers 119-102. Portland dominated the paint with 68 points. Here's Coach Billups.
One of our points of emphasis in the game were trying to attack the paint, knowing that they were a really aggressive defense. If we can get past the line of scrimmage, felt like we'll be okay. We just kept attacking, and we did a good job of converting today.
Well, someone else that was on the attack was Anthony Simons, 21 of his game-high 34 in the second half. Sharp had 20 points, 11 boards, 5 assists. He was awesome. And Donovan Clingan, after fouling out Sunday against Cleveland, he had a double-double of 13 points and 13 rebounds. They're in Boston tomorrow to take on the Celtics. Tip at 4. We'll have Blazers game day at 2 here in your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio. Coming up at 3:20 on the Rip City Drive, Johnny Davis from the 77 championship team talking about Bill Walton night, which is Sunday against Detroit. Tickets still available at trailblazers.com. All right, Shacker breaking out the Gino Vanelli to kick off the show today. I love Gino. He spends a lot of time in Portland. I'll tell you a little secret. I interviewed Gino Vanelli once. I was working at one of the stations here in town back during the Flight 750 days. And the building was right there in downtown at the Pac West Center. And on the floor where the station was at, we had all the stations there in the same area. And we had the newsroom, and my buddy Steve Herman, I call him Herminator. That's how I know him. So Herminator's like, dude. And we like the same type of music. His wheelhouse is similar to mine. He's like, Gino Vanelli's in the house. I'm like, get the bleep out of here. He's not in this studio right now. He's not bumping around. And then I looked around the corner, and sure enough, there was Gino with his beautiful hair. And I said, Herm, you already talked to him. Why don't you see if he wants to talk with me? And so I pulled him into one of these little small side studios, like a production studio. And he was like the coolest human being ever. I interviewed him, but I was afraid to release it and play it on air because it was one of those interviews that I did not have time to prepare for. And I haven't even listened to it myself because I get embarrassed when I think about not doing the job the right way. But what I did was send it to my buddy Steve. He likes Gino Vanelli. And I said, here, I'm going to share this with you. If it's crappy, tell me so I know. He listened to it and thought it was great. So I may release the Gino Vanelli interview at some point.
How about during a Yacht Rock Friday?
That's not a bad idea. He's wildly talented. And I've gone through and listened to some more of his catalog. And he's a freaking awesome guitar player, too. All right, I'm very excited about the show today. We've got Bill Walton night coming up at Moda Center on Sunday. The Detroit Pistons are in town. Luke Walton is on that team, so they chose Sunday to be the celebration of life for Bill Walton. And, of course, Bill Walton is, you can make an argument, the greatest player in franchise history. He was the MVP and finals MVP in the 77 year when they won the championship. And if you want to just have some fun, pull up the box score from the 77 finals, game 6, and look at Bill Walton's numbers. It's ridiculous. Well, in preparation for Bill Walton night coming up on Sunday, I'm going to have a chance to talk to some of his former teammates. And today, here in about 15 minutes, Johnny Davis. He was born in Detroit, went to Dayton, and started his career in the NBA with the Portland Trailblazers. And he won a championship. And Bill Walton was paramount for Johnny Davis in his career, and we'll have Johnny Davis explain that. But here's the cool part for me. I've never interviewed Johnny Davis. I've interviewed just about everyone there is to interview in the world of Rip City, but I have not spoken with Johnny Davis one-on-one. I like Johnny Davis, thought he was super cool as a player, but his resume is absurd. 11 years as a player in the NBA, won a championship in his rookie season with the Portland Trailblazers, 24 years as a coach, both head coach and assistant, and 3 years as an executive. That is a life well lived, my friends. Johnny Davis coming up in 15 minutes. We'll get his take on Bill. And I want to know the secret sauce with the 77 championship team and the way they've been able to remain so close over the years. It's pretty remarkable. Like, who's responsible for that? How did that go down that way? But Johnny Davis enjoying the retired life now after a career in basketball. What a stud he is. And he was critical during their title run in 77. And not only that, but he also is the first player to do something that had never been done before. And I'm going to ask him about that. I did not know that he was the first player to do this, but it's pretty cool that he is, and we're going to find out what that is. I know, but I'm going to ask him about it, and then you'll find out what it is too. And then you can win money from your friends at the bar when you want to trick them with a question. Hey, who is such and such that did this? And they're not going to know the answer to it, so then you can win money. Because, you get these know-it-alls that think they know everything about sports, and then you got a question they won't have the answer to. So Johnny Davis coming up in 15 minutes. Sean Hyken, our Trailblazer insider, will join us to talk about the red-hot and rolling Portland Trailblazers. 15-6 in the last 21. They have won 5 of 6, and they're 3-1 on the current 7-game road trip. Or, excuse me, 4-1 on the current 7-game road trip. So no matter what happens in Boston and OKC, they're going to come back with a winning record on the 7-game trip, which is impressive. They're playing very good basketball, but most importantly, we're seeing signs of growth with the young guys, which is the most important thing. So I'm very happy with what I'm seeing right now from the Portland Trailblazers. The defense, the connection with this team, the individual play of guys like Shaden Sharp and Tamani Kamara and Denny Avdia and Donovan Clingan last night. Like, they've got themselves a bushel load of young players who can ball. And that's a very good thing for the franchise and for this team moving forward. And then at 5:20, the Godfather, Dwight Jaynes, is going to join me for the first time since unfortunate things happened in the radio world. It's been a while. I still communicate with the Godfather. I still love the Godfather. He's still like a father figure to me. Well, I want to bring him on because I saw the renderings of the new potential baseball park that could be here in Portland. And we'll get his take on that. Plus, we got to ask him about the Luka trade. How about that news today? How about the news that Shams dropped this morning that Kyrie Irving is done with an ACL? I have a great idea. Let's take a top 3 player in the world who has not entered his prime yet, and let's trade him for an aging superstar in Anthony Davis who has a history of injury. And then by doing so, we'll take another aging star in Kyrie and increase his workload. What could possibly go wrong under this scenario? Oh, everything. Davis gets hurt in game 1, and it's been out ever since he arrived in Dallas. And now Kyrie Irving, with an increased workload, has tore up his knee. Thank the good Lord above that you are not a Dallas Mavericks fan. And if you are, my condolences. What a disaster. An absolute calamity has fallen upon the Dallas Mavs, all because of their own stupidity. Hey, I have a good idea. What's that? We should trade Luka. Yeah, why not? What could possibly go wrong there? Maverick fans, boy, Nico Harrison, he better find a new place. He might want to be one of those remote workers. He might want to move to, like, I don't know, Portland. If I were Nico Harrison, I would move to Portland. He's got friends out here because of Nike, his time with the organization. Move to Portland and run the Mavericks from the Pacific Northwest. That way you have a much greater chance of not running into a Mavs fan on the streets. I mean, he is public enemy number 1 in Dallas right now. Horrible. And Kyrie was playing well. I hate to see that for Kyrie, but for the Mavericks, what a dumb organization they are. Absolute cuckoos. It's crazy. All right, for the Blazers last night, though, they got 34 from Anthony Simons. Very sloppy start to the game, I might add. And Andre Drummond looked like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in the first half. But the Blazers settled down. Ant got hot, and then the Blazers went wild. 34 for Ant, 20 points, 11 boards, and 5 assists for Shaden Sharp. Double-double for Donovan Clingan. And the Blazers got the job done. They were down by 5 at the half, but then opened up the third quarter on fire, and they closed the quarter on a big run, 11-2, had a double-digit lead going into the fourth. They pushed it to 15, game over. And Coach was asked after the game, what did you say to your guys at halftime to light a fire under their backside?
I just told them to hang in. I thought we was in good shape. Didn't play particularly great, but our defense was good enough, and we shared the ball. We were getting pretty good shots. We really were. We just wasn't knocking them down. I said, don't get bored with it. Don't turn over the ball. Do a good job rebounding, and we'll be in good shape. And we came out with actually more energy, and we needed it.
Now, we mentioned player development. Shaden Sharp, who is having some very good all-around games. Most importantly, we're seeing improvement on defense. Coach was asked about Sharp and his defense after the game.
Really good. I thought his defense was good all night. I know he was disappointed in himself a little bit, giving up some big baskets last night, and this is how you respond. Come in, you're completely locked in. I think offense is easy for Shaden. He can make it look very easy. The defensive side is totally different. When he's locked in defensively, it makes his offense even easier. So I thought he was great. Career high rebounding. We need those rebounds in a major way. I think he's maybe the most athletic guy in basketball. So I need him going to get those tough rebounds, and he did that tonight.
All right, what we're seeing from Shaden over the last few games is the reason why I told you that I think of all the young guys, the five that we talk about the most, Scoot, Shaden, Klingon, Tumani, and Denny Avdia. And I love Denny Avdia, by the way. Super cool guy. Well, I think Shaden's got the highest ceiling of all those guys because of the athleticism, because of his ability. And the game does come easy for him on the offensive end. And now we're seeing Coach Billups light a fire under him to where he's really engaged defensively. And guess what? As a result, because he's more locked in on D, he is able to go out there and even perform better on offense. He's fully locked in. And I hope this continues. What we're seeing right now is pretty stunning in terms of the development and the play of these young guys. It's been fabulous. So big props to Coach Billups, big props to the young guys. And here's Coach talking about Donovan Klingon. He bounced back, fouled out, was bitter about it against Cleveland, and came back with the double-double, 13 points, 13 boards.
It's just it's a part of his development. I thought last night what he felt worse about today was he just felt he let the team down, not being able to be out there more. But this is how you learn. And Donovan is just such a winner, that he cares about that. And I thought he did a really good job today of being focused on not fouling, but not putting himself in the position to do it. Staying vertical the whole time. Could have blocked a few more shots, but I said I'd rather stay in the game and just defend the rim. It might not block it. So that's all we needed him to do, was be solid, and he was definitely that.
All right. So if you want to know how I feel about the team right now, very happy. Love the way they're playing. Think Coach Billups is doing a good job. The young guys are coming around, and we're seeing execution of the concepts on the floor with these guys. And I thought last night was a good example where you play kind of a sloppy first half, but then you lock in and really pull away there in the second half. Good teams, as we've talked about, you have to find different ways to get wins, to manufacture wins on nights when you don't have your best stuff. And they did not have their best stuff last night. But you find a way to get the job done. And they've done that. So the Blazers are in a good spot right now. In fact, Shaden Sharp, he was asked about Ant, who caught fire. Here's Shaden Sharp, very casual and relaxed like usual. I don't even think he has a pulse, but here he is talking about Ant's performance with 34.
Yeah, he's tough. Every shot, the goal must look so big for him. Every shot he hit. So, for him to do that and really help our team, get on the scoreboard, really helped us.
All right, here I got a text from the 971. Did you know that Nico Harrison went to Tigard High School? I think I did because it was mentioned to me by the principal, Curtis Long, recently. So I did not know until the principal mentioned it to me, but yes, he is from Tigard High. So further evidence that he should move to Portland and run the Mavericks remotely so that he does not run into Mavs fans on the streets down in Big D. They trade Luka, dumb. They trade him for Anthony Davis, not a good move. He gets hurt in game number 1, and now because of the increased workload, Kyrie goes down. It is an unmitigated disaster with the Mavericks right now. But I'm not a Mavericks fan, so what do I care? It's all good. All right, coming up next, Trailblazer legend and member of the 77 championship team and a guy that spent most of my life in the NBA, Johnny Davis, is going to join us next.
seconds to go. Portland leading 109 to 107. 3 will inbound. Here we go. The inbound of McGinnis. Drive, stop, pump, shoot, short, no good, and the game is over! The game is over! Well, we couldn't have a post-game show if we tried. Look at that madhouse out there. Lucas and Walden trying to fight through the traffic and go into the locker room. The Portland Trailblazers, at about 2 minutes and 18 seconds past the hour of 2 o'clock, have won the World Championship. They are number one. 109 to 107 is the final score, and it's all over.
Well, that highlight's never going to get tired. Our next guest hails from Detroit. He played his college ball at Dayton and spent 11 seasons as a player in the NBA, 24 years as a coach, and 3 years as an executive, and he won an NBA championship with the Trailblazers in '77. It's my pleasure to welcome Johnny Davis to the Rip City Drive. Johnny, that's an impressive resume, my friend, a life well lived. How are you?
I'm doing well. That was that whole journey seemed like it happened overnight. You know, it goes in the blink of an eye. But I think back on it, and what a wonderful time it was, especially highlighted by the World Championship, which we won in Portland. Nothing else compared to that in terms of basketball. That was such a wonderful event. And matter of fact, it was my rookie year, and I thought we would do that forever. I thought every year would be like this.
Well, this is
Nothing was further from the truth.
No, that's okay. I'm just glad you had the experience, and it's something that no one can ever take away from you, and we'll remember it here in the Portland area forever. You know that. So I want to take you back because you mentioned your basketball journey. You were recruited by a number of big schools around the country, but how persistent was Jack Butler in his efforts to get you to commit to Dayton?
Jack Butler was the difference. Jack Butler was, it seems that he was at every one of my games of my senior year. He was always at my house. He got to know my family pretty well. And because of that, I promised him that before I would make a commitment to another university, I would visit the University of Dayton. I was about to sign with Michigan, and Jack called me, and I said, well, I told you I would visit, so I'm about to sign, but I will honor what I said. I'll come and visit the university. And I went down there, Chad, and the arena was just packed with just very passionate fans. It wasn't bad. It was but had potential to be pretty good, and I could see that they had some good players. But anyway, the city, the way that they welcomed me, the way I felt while I was there. And Michigan was a good school, obviously, but that was a little had more of a personal touch to it. I thought, they really wanted me to come to school. They did also at the larger schools recruit every year. They may recruit over you. It's just the way it goes.
At the time,
the university, the visit was awesome, and I left there. I went home, and you know what? I'm going to Dayton.
That's so awesome because Johnny, you know how it is at that age. At the time, you're making the decision like how it's going to turn out. But looking back now, how happy are you that you chose a smaller school in a community like that to begin your basketball journey?
That's exactly right. And you never play out, Chad. If you think about it, going to Portland, which was a small market NBA team, once again turned out to be the best situation I could have ever have been in. The fans were passionate again. They were amazing. The city was vibrant, and the people there were just so patient. I couldn't think of a better place for me to launch my career and be a part of the city. It was awesome, and I enjoyed every second of it.
But how hard was that for you? Because you're from Detroit. you go to Dayton, and then you come out to how
Going to Dayton wasn't that difficult because, Dayton's not that far from Detroit. It's about a 3-hour drive. I wasn't far from home. I could still get home if I wanted to. And people who followed me and my family, they could get down to Dayton and watch games. Now, much about Portland. I didn't, I knew it was in the Pacific Northwest, but I knew very little about it.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, when I first arrived in Portland, it was about August, somewhere in there, early September, and it was raining. And no one could tell me that it rained a lot in Portland. So I was indoors quite a bit, wondering, well, when's the rain going to let up? It rained for about a week straight. And finally someone said, well, it's a slight drizzle, and we get rain instead of snow, and it stays warm here. So I acclimated to the city and the weather. You put a coat on and a hat on, and you move on. But, because of the rain, it's beautiful and green, and the flowers and the rose garden. And so it turns out that the summers there, I would say late fall, early fall, late spring and summers, you can't find a more beautiful place in Portland, Oregon.
Oh, I
agree. You got, the mountain, the backdrop, you got the ocean, and all those things were new because obviously from an urban area in Detroit, Michigan, I don't see the ocean and I don't see mountains. I see brick pavement and I see brick buildings. So to see the greenery, to see that part of the country, for me, Chad, was eye-opening. Really, really. So I got traded, I think, a couple of years later to Indiana, but my time there in Portland was special and highlighted by the championship, of course. And here's something a lot of people don't know. When I was at the University of Dayton, we actually played UCLA, and Bill Walton was the center at that time. They beat us in triple overtime.
Wow.
Yes. They still talk about that game today. Interesting. I think it's the first overtime. A player on our team by the name of Donald Smith made a shot with the score tied with 3 seconds left. The problem was our coach had called a timeout just before he released the shot. The ball goes in, but no good. A timeout had been called. So we go into the huddle, we call a timeout, we draw up a play, we come back on the court, we miss the shot the second time, then we go into a second overtime, and then a third overtime where we finally lost. They finally got us in the third overtime. Now, that's how I met Bill. And now I get drafted. Bill's already in Portland, so I get drafted. I go to Portland, and there he is, and we're talking about that game. And, he gave me the business, of course.
Of course.
Yeah, they called us the upstart, trying to make a dream out of UCLA, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it was a wonderful time, and that's how I knew Bill somewhat from competing at college level.
Well, that's amazing. We're talking with former Trailblazer Johnny Davis. I want to ask you about a story. From my understanding, Walton was very critical at the beginning of your career. As I understand it, Johnny, Dave Twardzik was injured early in the 77 playoffs. Dr. Jack had to make a move, and he considered putting Larry Steele in the starting lineup. When he asked Walton about that, what he should do, he recommended that you be placed in the lineup, and Coach McKinney agreed with this assessment. Is that how it went down?
That is exactly correct. That's how it went.
Wow.
As told to me by Jack Ramsey. Now, Bill never said anything Ramsey did. Dave was hurt. He got hurt in the Denver series, and we were coming back home, and I guess Jack wasn't quite sure about who he should play. Now, I have to say this: if Jack had decided that he wanted to start Larry Steele, that would have been a good choice, and no one would have questioned it. If he had elected to start Herm Gilliam, another veteran player, that would have been a solid choice, and no one would have questioned it. No one had really seen me play up to that point any significant minutes for any consistent amount of games. So I was kind of an unknown to the public, not to my teammates. They knew I could play.
Yeah.
But, the public didn't. So as I understand it, as told by Jack, Jack went to Bill and said, hey, I'm considering putting Larry Steele in the lineup, maybe Herm Gilliam. What do you think? Which of those guys you think would be best in this situation? And Bill looked at Jack, from what I understand, and said, I think you need to put Johnny Davis. I think he should be the guy that's getting those minutes. We can run with him. He's fast. He penetrates. He can play defense, and he's ready. And so Jack thought about it, and then he went to Coach Jack McKinney, and he said to Jack McKinney, hey, I just asked Bill Walton who he thought I should start to get his opinion between Larry Steele and Herm Gilliam. And he said I should start the rookie, Johnny Davis. What did you think? Jack McKinney said, I agree with Bill.
That's great.
So, so he started me. He came to me before the game, and he says, well, Johnny, he said, just, don't try to do too much. Just stay steady out there and just keep us moving. I said, okay, Coach, I know exactly what I'll do for you.
That's
so
so
he put me out. I've been waiting all year to play. And so here's the opportunity. And I went out and I played well that game. I think I had 25 points and several assists, and we won going away. It wasn't even close. And so I started the next series against LA, the same thing, and then finally, they that yes, he can play, even though he's a young player. He's ready.
That's so
and
cool.
I was.
No, that's great. I guess.
So that's how that went. Yeah.
I don't know if you can answer this, but do you think your playing career would have turned out the way that it did had Walton not spoke up for you?
Absolutely not. I think Bill's decision was based on only one thing, Chad, and his decision was based on who could help us win the title, in his opinion, right now. And he knew from, I guess, maybe playing against me in college, that I had, and Lionel Hollins is a magnificent guard that was very, very fast. I was faster than him. So now you got two people you can fast break with, and then the untold story of it, Chad, as I look back, was the defensive pressure that I could apply along with Lionel in the backcourt. That's not to say Dave couldn't. That wasn't Dave's game. That was my game. Speed, up and down the floor, and I could play with the ball or I could play without the ball. So if Lionel had the ball, I would get out on the break. If I had the ball, Lionel got out on the break. Of course, with Bobby Gross and Bill Walton and Maurice Lucas gave us a head start because they gobbled up the rebounds and kicked it out to us, and away we went. So it made a fast team even faster, and it made us even more tenacious and aggressive defensive team. And as we began to go up, through the ranks of who we needed to play to try to win a championship, a lot of teams, Philadelphia in particular, they changed their way of playing, their style of playing, because of the pressure that Lionel and I could guard, so they had their center ball up court, not their guards. But that's something different that we had done all year. So we didn't change to try to offset our pressure. And then against the Lakers, we out so high. Further out, this is a nuanced detail thing, but Kareem could have set up the low post. He had to come more towards the high post to receive the pass. The guards were picking the ball up so much closer to half court than they were to free throw line.
That's great.
So it made his shot a little bit tougher, and it allowed Bill a chance to really play some solid defense on him. So all those things played a part in it. And so to answer your question, from that championship series, I think that was my interest into the NBA, and it allowed not just our fans and different people to see, but people throughout the league now. This young man can play.
No, it's great.
He's a legitimate NBA player.
Yeah. I'm so great that that Bill recognized that. I wanted to ask you in that game 6 that we just heard at the beginning of the interview. You know, Philly had the ball down by 2, and after a jump ball, they got 2 shots off, and then the ball goes out of bounds. They missed their 3rd attempt, and Walton tips the ball out to you, and you dribble out the clock, Johnny. Did you ask him about that play one night at dinner?
I sure did.
What did you ask him?
Okay, so well, to recreate it, on that possession when and the ball hit the rim and it bounced kind of straight up in the air, everybody, and when I say everybody, Howell Jones, Julius Erving, Bobby Gross, Maurice Lucas, all the guys were in there to get that possession, because if they tipped that ball in, the game's tied. If we rebounded, they'd probably foul right away, and there's still maybe 2 or 3 seconds left, and then now you got pressure free throws coming. And I see all these hands, including Bill's, they all jumped up to most possession rebound of the game. All of us, I see Bill's hand going higher than the others, because I know that hand when I see it, and he palms the ball, almost palms it, and pushes it out to the area that I was in. And I grabbed it, and I started up the court because the court was open. If there was time, I would have laid the ball up. If not, then the clock would have elapsed, which it did. Now, over dinner, years later, I say to Bill, "Hey, Bill, that last ball, the one you tipped out, the one that I grabbed," I said, that I was out there. What he said, I knew where everyone was.
Of course he did.
He did. And you know what? I believe him.
Yeah.
He said, I knew exactly where you were. I knew where every guy was on the floor, and I knew that was the open spot, and I saw you. So, and when I look back at that possession, Chad, it was a pass to me more than the ball and hope somebody gets it. He pushed that ball out to that area. If you go back and look at it, you'll see it. He did deliberately. Now, he said the same thing I just recreated. If I grab it, somebody wraps you up, another jump ball, anything could have happened. By pushing it out there to that area where you were, I knew you would get it because that was the open area. And I knew where you were. I knew where everybody on the field. And that's what he said. And I believed him.
Wow, that's terrific.
When I go back and look at it, it was amazing. It was not a swat. It was more of a push, which meant he had control of it.
Yeah. When I first heard the story, I thought that can't be real. And then I watched the a couple of times today. I agree. It's a push. He knew where you were at and what he was doing. David Maurice, he's talked about it frequently, but he really thinks the bond that you and the rest of the team have from that 77 title team is really special. How have you guys remained so close over the years, Johnny?
I think the journey itself, Chad, is what made us all close. When you reach the ultimate, when you reach a goal as a team, it's not just a championship, Chad. It's all of the things that take place along the way. The conversations, all of the setbacks, all of the victories, travel, the talking with each other in the wee hours of the morning, and once you accomplish something like that together, it binds you together and gives you something different that teams that don't win titles, they don't quite get it. So they'll have individuals that are close, but the whole team, I believe, because of all the things we went through to try to get to the championship, and then we win it. And I think that was the difference. Bill was a unicorn. I mean, he was one of one. Just a phenomenal teammate. Just a great person to be around. I tell you what. I live in Asheville, North Carolina now.
Yes.
And there are no direct flights out of to go over to either Atlanta or Charlotte to get connecting flights. Well, every time over the years that Bill would be in either the Atlanta airport or the Charlotte airport, he would call me. Every time.
That's awesome.
He just called and check on you and how you doing? How's the family? What are you doing these days? Or whatever. So a good communication, a good contact, just a great guy. And he would always say, he would always tell you he loved you. Thank you. Like, I love you, Johnny. Thank you for helping me accomplish my goals. And he's thanking me. I'm Bill. We don't.
I should be thanking you, Bill. We got a title because of you.
Kind of guy. And the other thing with Bill and I that was really, really cool, I thought, was he was an avid reader. Called me sometimes and asked me, "Have you read this, or have you heard about this book?" And if I hadn't, I'd call him. I'd go and get the book. I'd read it, and once I read it, I'd call him. I said, "The book. What do you think about this?" And we kind of analyzed the book, et cetera, et cetera. And so we had some really, really wonderful conversations. And he's a Renaissance man. He was a Renaissance man. He's a little bit, obviously I have a lot of respect for him, and I really, really miss him. And when I heard that he had passed, it just floored. It floored me because it's so special, Chad, in my life. And again, if he doesn't see, he was all winning the thing. There was nothing else in his mind, and he believed that by inserting me into the lineup, we had a chance to get it, to do it. And spoke up for me, and as a result of him speaking up for me at that point in time, to behind me with this guy we should be playing, and then it validated his thought process. My only thought was, well, why didn't the coach see that? Maybe Bill was the coach. But no, Jack Ram was amazing guy. I respect. In this particular case, for full disclosure and transparency, Bill Walton, who decided and said to Coach Jack Ramsey, you need to play Johnny Davis.
That's
End
true.
of story. And then the rest was up to me. Then I had to go out and perform, which I did, and it was the best time of my life. Again, as a player, and the friendships and the bonding, and all of those things, the just being himself, just was an amazing time. It's just one of those things you look back and it feels it makes you feel good that you're a part of it. And again, I visited Portland over the years since that time, and I see drop off in terms of the passion that the people in the city of Portland has for the Trailblazers. Back then, it was the Coliseum, and it was 12,666.
Yep.
And they sold that thing out every night after we won the championship for years. And I think they pretty much had like a run of 200-something consecutive sellouts or something along those lines. But the new arena is fantastic. They got a team watching them. They're coming, and they're really playing well. Chauncey Billups is doing a great job with them. They got some nice young talent, and I think the best is yet to come for them. And I think somewhere within the next few years, I'm going to say the Blazers will be in contention for a championship down the road. They still got some pieces to fill, but I think they're on their way.
That's terrific. It's Johnny Davis here on the Rip City Drive. I wanted to ask you about this moment and see if you remember. November 10th, 1979, Pacers topped the 104-101. Johnny Davis hits a walk-off 8-foot three-point field goal. And based on what I was able to discover here, Johnny, you're the first player in history to have a walk-off three-pointer. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yes.
The play, I remember I came up towards the middle of the floor, and they threw it. It was only a few seconds. I alternative but turn and shoot it, and grabbed it, turned and shot it, and it went in. But I didn't know that was a walk-off three.
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go. See, I'm here to. Oh, that's great. One other question I wanted to ask, Johnny, is you coached for years, 24 years as a coach in the NBA. Did that transition into coaching help fill the void that many players have when they leave, not having that high-level competition and being around the guys? Did it help you?
I think it did, Chad, because I was still in the environment. I was still preparing for games. The only difference was I wasn't playing in the game. Others were playing. You were preparing them to actually go out and win games. But the highs and lows, winning, the competition, the travel, the locker room, the camaraderie between coaches and players and staff, all those things were still in place, and I loved all. There was nothing about basketball that didn't excite me, did not want to be a part of, and so I was able to stay in the profession a very 38 years total, and I kind of grew up in the league. When I was drafted, I was 20 years old.
Jeez.
I wasn't even old enough to go into the bar and have a beer with the guys. and back then they had beer in the locker room. But I was 20 years by Portland, and I stayed in the league for 38 years. Yeah, I did.
No, that's incredible.
Years later is when it stopped. And, I tell people that, especially most players and most coaches, Chad, we don't make the decision to leave the NBA makes the decision to leave you.
Yeah, that's so true.
Either by someone else is better or age or something. Losing situations. Eventually, no hand up and volunteer to leave the NBA or any professional sport for that matter. Most people want to do it for as long as they can do it, and I'm very, very fortunate that I was able to do it for such a long time, and I like I worked a day in my life because I enjoyed going to that particular job every day. It never felt like work. Again, the relationships that you build, the people that you meet along the way, those are the things that really bring value to it. Like people tend to focus on the money and the contracts and the adoration and all these other things. But the real value are the things that money can't even buy. Good friendships and the camaraderie between players. You can't put a price on that. It's just one of those things that you have to experience. And you get to travel, you get to see the whole country. Sometimes you get to see the world as a result. I've educated my kids because of it. I've traveled the world because of it. It took a young kid from the urban area of Detroit, Michigan, what life is outside he grew up in. And I'm forever thankful for that. And again, if you go back to the very, very start of it, Chad, if Bill Walton doesn't say my name come into that game, and that opportunity, who I am as a player, and then later who I am as a person, then I don't get these opportunities that have been afforded me throughout my life. So that's for that. Acknowledgement to him for his role in that. Now I know I had to do it myself once I got started, but it was the launching of it, the getting started part that was the toughest part for me. And once I got that opportunity, once the door was cracked open for me, so to speak, just a little bit, so I could get in and show that I could play. The rest, I opened it up, and so the rest is history. But the things that I've experienced, the people I've met, I wouldn't trade it for anything. For time, and I'm kind of the kind of guy. I like to learn. I like new things. I don't believe you should ever just stand. And even now in my life, I like learning new things. I don't think you should ever just sit down and there's a lot to be explored, and you should always view the glass as being half full and have a reason for tomorrow. Have a reason. You want to get up in the morning and go and do something or learn something. And here's the other thing that I found. When you honestly and sincerely want to help other people, feeling you get from volunteering or just being available, being a good friend, a cousin, a good brother, a good sister, the feeling you get from doing that far outweighs anything else that takes place that you can buy with money. That's been my experience. Now, of course, everybody likes money, and everybody likes the things that money brings to you, but you can't just base your life on that. And that's something that Bill and I would talk about at times. What the championship meant. I couldn't tell you today to the bonus that we made for winning. Not for every dime win, I don't know. But I can tell you about the friendships along the way. I can tell you about the warm feelings that we had for one another, the bonding, the camaraderie, the journey. The journey, I can tell you about the journey. The championship was important. Yes, it Bill Walton beat of Bill Walton, Chad, we are now able to call ourselves champions. That was Bill Walton's gift to us. We're champions because of Bill Walton. Now, everybody had a role in it. Bill Walton had the biggest role.
That's awesome.
Maurice Lucas was big. But Bill, without him, and the next year we were 50-10 after 60 games in our second year. And we thought we would do it again. And
You were going to do it again. You guys were going to repeat if you hadn't got hurt, dang it.
That's what I thought. And again, we're coming off, we're winning, and then Bill gets hurt, and nothing was ever the same again. And the Portland Trail Blazers are still, almost 50 years later, looking for the next championship. That's how elusive it is.
Yeah.
That's why you can never take it for granted. If you get an opportunity. And I remember the conversation, Chad, that the pregame talk that Coach Ramsey gave us that game. I remember the sixth game. He went out and he said, guys, we may not ever have this opportunity again in front of us right now. So let's seize this moment and let's win this championship. And boy, that's exactly what we did. We went out there and we won it. And as a result of that, the city of Portland can also say we do have a championship too. There's some cities that can't say it.
You're right.
They never won a championship, but Portland has. Sacramento hasn't won one. Charlotte hasn't won one. Atlanta hasn't won one. You can name some others.
Yeah.
Phoenix.
The Clippers.
So there's a lot of teams out there that have not won championships. But when you say name the ones who have won championships,
yeah, Portland's on the list.
You have to say the city of Portland.
Yeah,
because we did and we have.
Well, Johnny,
I'm proud of that.
No, you should be. It's amazing. Johnny, I got to tell you what, I've admired you throughout your career, and it's an honor to get a chance to talk with you. I'm really excited about it. The Bill Walton Celebration Night's coming up Sunday at Moda Center. The Pistons will be in town, tip-off at 6, and tickets are still available at trailblazers.com. Hey, Johnny, you're welcome on the show anytime, my friend. I really appreciate you coming on to share. And
thank you very much. I really enjoyed it, and it's brought back some wonderful memories. I look forward to the Bill Walton celebration to see his family and friends and the city of Portland again. So thank you for having me on the show, Chad. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Johnny. Have a good time. We'll see you here in town.
Thank you. Okay. Bye now.
There you go. The one and only Johnny Davis, part of the 77 championship team. And you heard of the importance of Bill Walton in his life and career. It's because of Bill that he got a chance to play as a rookie. And without those opportunities, he never gets a chance to showcase what he can do and then show what he is as a person, which led to a lifetime as a player, coach, and executive in the NBA. Big thanks to Johnny Davis, the Godfather, at 5:20, and we'll talk with Sean Highkin at 4:20 on the Rip City Drive. Well, first off, it was really cool to talk with former Trailblazer Johnny Davis, a member of the 77 championship team. 24 years as a coach, 11 years as a player, and 3 years as an executive. That's pretty impressive. I'd never spoken with him before. Always admired him, knew about his long career, but it was great to have a chance to hear from him and let him express the true importance of Bill Walton in his life. Bill went to coach, and when he asked him, who should I start with the injury to Twardzik, he's like, Johnny Davis. And Coach McKinney agreed, and Johnny Davis got in, and the rest is history. They won a championship, and he goes on to have a long and illustrious career, both as a player and a coach. So props to him. But it was Bill Walton who got things started. As Johnny Davis has been from that game, they played the triple overtime game between Dayton and UCLA. Davis was cool. He just wanted to share stories. Hearing him talk, you can tell how gracious he is for the opportunities that basketball afforded him and the experiences he's been able to have in his life. I talk about when a team gets into a championship game, Super Bowl, the NBA Finals, NCAA Finals, whatever the case may be, Final Four, championship game, there are no guarantees. I don't care what the team is, who's on your squad, what the situation may be, there are no guarantees it's going to happen the following year. So you've got to capitalize when you. And fortunately for the Blazers, they're able to do that against the 76ers. And they get the win, and the rest is history. And Portland's got a championship because of that. But Johnny Davis is cool. He also helped me set a new personal record in radio. I have never butchered a radio clock worse than what I just did with Johnny Davis. But I'm not going to cut off Davis. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to put him on hold. I'm not going to run commercials over the top of Johnny Davis. He can do whatever he wants. He's Johnny Davis. You know how they say, like, win a title, you pretty much don't have to buy a drink in that town for the rest of your life? Well, I apply that to radio. In this town, you do not have to worry about commercial breaks when you come on the show with me. That's what I give to Davis champion. Props to you, Johnny Davis. Amazing. The championship team, a lot of the guys are going to be in town on Sunday for the Bill Walton night. Headbands, tie-dye, and a celebration of the great Big Redhead, Bill Walton. Detroit is in town. Luke Walton is on staff with the Pistons, and so that's why they chose that game. So you can still get tickets. Go to trailblazers.com, but if there's one game you want to be at, that's a game you want to go to because they're going to celebrate the life of Bill Walton, which is terrific. And I'm going to have a chance to talk to more people involved with the 77 team as the week progresses. But that was Johnny Davis. You can always podcast the show. Just use our free iHeartRadio app and make Rip City Radio #1 on your presets. But you can have access to the interviews, the podcast, everything right there from the app. Now, we've got Sean Highkin coming up here in about 8 minutes. But I want to remind everyone we're coming up on crunch time in our 50-50 raffle benefiting ALS Northwest. We're going to announce the winner here in just over a week. And the pot is growing, so it's an opportunity for you to have a chance to win some cash, but most importantly, to help benefit ALS Northwest. So I ask all of you, whether it's a couple of bucks or a couple of $100, whatever you decide to spend, get involved, please. And if you go to our website, RipCityRadio.com, go to the calendar page, you'll find the story up for ALS Northwest, 50-50 raffle. If you hit that, they'll have the link where you can buy raffle tickets. Now, you can only buy the raffle tickets in the state of Oregon. So for my Southwest Washington friends over in the Couve, it's very easy. Jump in your rig, cruise across the bridge, and then buy tickets. You can get 400 raffle tickets for $100, 100 tickets for $50, 25 for $25, or 5 for $10. Even if you just spend $10 and help contribute to the pot, you're making a difference because ALS is horrendous. Mike Lynch, who was with the Trailblazers on their broadcast team, was diagnosed last year, and I wanted to find a way to help him, and so that's why we're doing, do the deal like you used to when you're hitting Plaid Pantry for Oregon Lottery, sports lottery. You got to get your plays in. You had to drive over the bridge to get the ticket, and then you head back home. Well, here you're going to drive over the bridge, hit Jansen Beach. You can do your quick turnaround, buy some raffle tickets, and then boom, go back home. So go to our website, RipCityRadio.com. Go to the calendar page. You'll find the story right there for ALS Northwest. All right, telephone number is 503-248-0620. The Godfather is going to join me at 5:20. I want to get his take on the renderings that were dropped for the potential new ballpark in Portland. Like, I want to believe. And by the way, if you haven't seen the renderings, you should check them out. How great would that be? An actual ballpark in Portland with a Major League Baseball team? That would not suck. Let me just say it that way. Let's go out to Raider Mike. Raider Mike, long time no chat. What's up?
Dude, best interview ever since I've known you with JD. And I'm like right here in Appalachia.
That's right. You're not far from Asheville, man. Go over and say hi to him.
70 miles away, bro. 70 miles away. And to make me cry, it's happened a couple times on your show. But that one, gut punch, baby. Man, that was Portland in its glory. And he portrayed it perfectly. I've never heard from JD the whole time, you know? And then you put that on, I'm like, wow, cool. Now I realize how cool that team was, how bad that team was. I know I have to censor myself sometimes here. But anyway, amazing interview. I want to buy you lunch, Johnny. I want to buy you a beer, Johnny. I want to sing you some Marvin Gaye, Johnny. I mean, that's, I'm thinking of settling here, Chad, so, you know, my family's like 6 hours away, Eastern Shore, Maryland. And this is one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen in my life, and it's been destroyed. So I'm going to be here 2 years cleaning it up anyway. Might as well settle down next to JD, next to one of my champions. So, I don't know what you want to do with that. You probably got some questions, Chad, but amazing interview. Brought so much home. Brought so much home about why I'm a Trailblazer fan. Why that team was magical. Why Bill Walton's day coming up needs to just rock. And I can't be there, but my cousin will. My people will. So I'm going to leave it there, Chad.
No, it's good, brother. No, I'm glad you called. It's good to hear your voice, my friend. And great job of putting me in a position where I didn't have to hit the dump button, Raider Mike. I appreciate that. Yeah, Johnny Davis was great. Loved talking with him. And he was lightning quick on the basketball floor, too. But what a cool cat. And they're going to be in town on Sunday to celebrate the life of Bill Walton at Moda Center, Pistons, and Trailblazers. Luke Walton will be in the house. It's going to be a tie-dye festival to celebrate Bill, which is appropriate. And the connection between that 77 team is special. All right, when we come back, we're going to hear from our Trailblazer insider, Sean Highkin. We'll get his take on Shaden Sharp and the improvements since being benched, the play of Scoot Henderson, Donovan Clingan, and what's the status with Chauncey Billups? He's been coaching his backside off, and we're seeing development of the youngsters. Sean Highkin's up next, and then the Godfather talking Major League Baseball in town at 5:20. All right, joining us now on the Rip City Drive is our Trailblazers insider from Rose Garden Report. It's Sean Highkin. And Sean, we got good news this morning. Tamani Kamara named Western Conference Defensive Player of the Month. The interesting part about this award, I'm not surprised that Tamani Kamara won it. I'm just surprised that this award exists. I didn't even know.
I'm going to be totally honest with you, Chad. I didn't fully know that this award existed either. Like, I get the notifications from the league about all the different, like, player of the week, player of the month, all that kind of stuff. I get those, but, you know, that stuff all kind of runs together at a certain point, and usually Blazers names, at least the last couple of years since Dame's been gone, like, Blazers players are usually not really involved in that type of stuff. So it just kind of doesn't, you know, and so, like, I'm sure I've gotten the notifications the previous months this season for defensive player of the month, and then just kind of didn't give it a second thought. But yeah, you see that notification come across today for Tumani in the announcement, and I mean, yeah, it's pretty hard to argue that he doesn't deserve it. So, you know, that's great.
Yeah, I saw a list that was put out, some shooting percentages while being defended by Tamani Kamara in February. Devin Booker, 33%, Kevin Durant, 25%, 0% for Tyrese Halliburton and Domantas Sabonis, DeMar DeRozan, 25%, and the list goes on. LaMelo Ball, don't forget, 0%. You know, I think Tamani Kamara, he may not be well known around the league, but I get this growing sense that coaches and players are becoming more aware of the way he approaches the game on defense.
Well, he's starting to be more well-known around the league, I think. You know, over the last month, you've seen so many. Like, I feel like every national, like, podcast and website has, over the last couple of weeks, started talking about him. Like, he's kind of gotten to the point where, like, he's kind of the trendy, you know, role player on a non-contending team where people are like, oh, you know who's really underrated is this guy. Like, it was Lou Dort for Oklahoma City a couple of years ago. I kind of feel like Tumani has slid into that, you know, place in the hierarchy as far as where he's thought about.
Yeah. All right. Here's a question I have for you, because I get this question a lot, and I want to ask you because I want your honest response. So the Trailblazers right now, 15-6 in their last 21. They've won 5 of their last 6, and they're 3-1 on the current 7-game road trip. How do you explain the increased level of play we're seeing from this team?
I think it's just a lot of internal improvement that's all kind of internal improvement and, like, guys fitting together, and it's all kind of just happened at the same time. Like, you've seen, you know, Scoot start to put it together over the last 6 weeks at the same time that Denny Avdia is really starting to get comfortable with a new team, at the same time that, like, Tamani Kamara is really solidified it. Like, it's all of these last year, whatever little minimal, you know, positive momentum or positive developments there was all kind of isolated. Like, Scoot would have a good week, but then, like, Shaden would be out for a little bit. Like, it was never like multiple good things happening at the same time. It was always like one of the young guys is playing well, but then one of them is struggling and one of them is injured. Now it's kind of to the point where, for the most part, it's all happening at the same time, and it's all just kind of clicking in a way that they never really were healthy enough to have the opportunity to do last season.
Yeah. And what is your assessment on Coach Billups in terms of the work that he and his staff have done of improving the young players, but also getting them to understand the concepts, and now we're seeing execution on the floor?
Well, you saw that with Scoot during that first kind of hot streak, and you're starting to see it now with Shaden, who, you know, got moved to the bench about a month and a half ago, and that was kind of a controversial thing because Chauncey said publicly that it was because of Shaden's defensive inconsistencies that he was making that move. And now, you know, because of some of these injuries, like, you know, Shaden's moved back into the starting lineup, but you've started to see, you know, that defensive effort be there with him consistently. You started to see some of the stuff that Chauncey wanted to see from him, you know, start to really manifest itself. So you have to think that Chauncey's pushing some of the right buttons or all the right buttons. If he's getting these results out of guys, I think he deserves a ton of credit for, obviously most of it is, you know, the players and, you know, because they're the ones out there playing, and Chauncey would tell you the same thing. But I think he and his staff have you know, done a great job with the team in the last couple of months, and I think they deserve a lot of credit for this.
You know, one thing that's been really nice over the last few games, we're seeing the emergence, you mentioned it, Shaden Sharp, who is playing much better since being benched for poor defense, and he's had a chance to get into the starting lineup with some of the changes recently. He's playing really well, but most importantly, Coach Billups has been praising his defensive work, understanding his assignments, being aggressive in an attack mode, and he really thinks that his defense, when he's engaged on that end, it helps his offense. But I like what I'm seeing from Shaden right now.
Yeah, I mean, Shaden's always had the physical tools and the ability to be a good defender. It was just a matter of could he do it consistently? Was he going to do it consistently? I'd like to see it for more than like a week or two before I declare, oh, this is just whatever these issues are just fixed now. It could just be a couple week thing, and then maybe there's another down period. Like that's always something that's possible with young guys, but definitely compared to where it was a couple months ago when Chauncey made the move, you have to be pretty encouraged by where they end, where things are at with him right now.
We're talking with Sean Highkin, our Trailblazers insider here on the Rip City Drive. And it's not just Shaden, but Scoot Henderson. Where are you at with him right now? Because what I've seen over the last couple of months is more confidence, better decision-making. He's better with the turnover, still having some issues there, but just the overall play, and especially on the defensive end, I mean, he really looks like he's, not just turning a corner, but, comfortable in his new role and taking that next step.
The defense is a huge thing that I think has changed over the last couple of months from, where and with Scoot, it was never really an effort thing. He just didn't really know what he was doing. And I think something must have just clicked for him in the last couple of months. But yeah, I mean, the turnovers are still a little bit of an issue. The finishing, I think, is still a little bit of an issue, but the shot has become a lot more consistent, and some of the decision making, I think, has gotten a lot more consistent. And yeah, I mean, I think compared to where he was at the beginning of the season, I think he still has another couple of levels to get to potentially, but they have to be thrilled with what they've seen out of him really since this middle of January when this whole unexpected winning streak started.
All right, Donovan Clingan got in foul trouble, was frustrated on Sunday in the loss to Cleveland, but last night battled back and had a good challenge out there with Andre Drummond, 13 points, 13 rebounds. I thought he looked pretty good.
Yeah, it's been. I mean, this is all stuff that's kind of to be expected for a rookie big man. You especially in that Cleveland game, that was going to be a tough matchup for him because that's such a big team with Jared Allen and Evan Mobley out there. That's going to be a tough. I mean, and you bring up Andre Drummond, and that was a little bit of a dogfight, but the Sixers also were without Joel Embiid, who's out for the rest of the season. So that's. Depending on who he's going up against and who he's got to guard, like it's gonna for a rookie big man, it's gonna be a little bit of a challenge at different times. But yeah, I thought I was definitely especially on the second night of a back-to-back, I was impressed with how Clingan kind of bounced back after not really being able to do much in the Cavs game because of foul trouble.
You know what else is crazy with this unexpected play from the Trailblazers right now, exceeding expectations? I'm getting more and more Trailblazer fans reaching out, wondering what the future of Chauncey Billups is in Portland, meaning could they possibly bring him back? I did not see this coming. I never thought we would get to this point, but I'm getting more and more people wanting to know if Billups is going to come back because of the way the team has played and the development of the youngsters. What are you hearing on that front?
I haven't heard anything different or that anything has changed on that front. So I mean, obviously I don't want to declare anything absolutely until, anything is made official, but nothing that I've been saying or thinking for a whole year, I think has changed at this point.
Well, regardless of where he's at in the future, I mean, don't you think that the way that the team has played and the young guys have developed, that he's putting himself in a good position moving forward?
Oh, 100%. I think he's definitely, if he's not back here next year, I think he's pretty clearly going to get another job as a head coach. I think he's shown enough that, he's capable of doing the job, whether it's here or somewhere else remains to be seen. But I think Chauncey has done himself and his own coaching career and his own future and his reputation a lot of favors over the last couple of months for sure. I would agree with that.
All right, Sean Highkin, our Trailblazers insider from Rose Garden Reports here on the Rip City Drive. Like, oh my goodness, I couldn't believe it when I woke up this morning and I saw the tweet from Shams that Kyrie Irving is out with a torn ACL. Sean, aren't you glad that you and I are not Mavericks fans? How brutal would that be right now?
I mean, just think about everything that's happened. We're about a month out from the Luka trade. So in that time, they make one of the most shocking trades in NBA history. They have an absolutely disastrous press conference with Nico Harrison afterwards where he tries to justify it and it doesn't really land. And then they start leaking all this stuff about Luka's conditioning or his weight or whatever. And then Anthony Davis comes in, looks awesome for a half, and then gets hurt in his first game, is probably not going to play again the rest of the season. And then all their other guys, all their other big men start getting hurt. They have no size. They have no real depth at that position. And now Kyrie Irving tears his ACL, and Kyrie Irving had a really great year for the Mavericks this year. He was kind of keeping them afloat. But, I definitely had the thought. I'll say this: I had the thought when that became, because I saw the Kyrie injury last night and I thought it looked bad, but you know how it goes with this stuff. Sometimes these types of injuries look a lot worse in the moment than they are, and so I was like, hopefully his knee is just like hyperextended or something, and it's not what it looks like. When they announced today that he actually did tear his ACL and he's done for the season, on top of all this other stuff the Mavs have. Suddenly, I'm looking at the Blazers 4 games back from 10th and thinking they might actually, today is the first time I've actually felt like it's a real possibility that they could actually make the play-in.
Yeah, it's a legitimate possibility. Like, it's no longer crazy talk to consider Portland being a play-in team.
No, they're 4 games back, and the Kings lost Domantas Sabonis for at least a week with a hamstring thing, but you know how hamstring stuff goes with big men. Like, that's something you probably don't want to play around with too much, so he might not be back after 1 week. Now the Mavericks lose Kyrie. The Suns, who are still a game ahead of Portland, is a complete disaster. Like, that's a sinking ship. So, like, I still would probably, if you made me guess now, will they make the play-in, will they not make the play-in, I would still guess no, just because of how tough the schedule is that they have coming up. Tomorrow they've got Boston, Friday they've got Oklahoma City, and then, this homestand they have coming up, they have a bunch of other games against, they have another game against the Celtics, they have another game against the Cavs, they've got the Knicks, they've got the Lakers and the Warriors, both kind of their last 2 games of the season. They have a lot of games coming up against these good teams, and, as fun as this winning streak and this, hot streak has been, who were the 4 teams that they won their 4 games in a row before the Cleveland game? They beat the Hornets, they beat the Jazz, they beat the Wizards, they beat the Nets, and then last night they beat the Sixers, who basically don't have any of their guys and are almost in kind of a soft tank. So if they can win a couple of these games coming up against some of the good teams that they're playing, then that's really gonna be what decides to me whether they actually are able to make the play-in or not.
I might shift the Sixers soft tank to a hard tank. I think they've dropped 10 of 11. They're on a pretty good course right now, Sean.
Yeah, and then Paul George has started to miss time. It's
messy.
That's you want to talk about, besides the Mavericks, you want to talk about a team that's just had the absolute nightmare season on every level, like between all the stuff you're hearing about, like what the long-term outlook is for Joel Embiid's needs and his health with everything he's already been through as far as health stuff. And they just gave Paul George a ton of money and he hasn't been very good. And then even Tyrese Maxey got hurt in that Blazer game last night. So that's a team that's really going through it right now for sure.
Wow. Unreal. Sean Highkin with us here on the Rip City Drive. All right, Sean, final question. 2 games left. They're in Boston and OKC. It's already a successful road trip because they got a winning record regardless of what happens. Well, what's their best chance to get a road win, Boston or OKC?
I'm going to say Boston just because you don't know. Boston's kind of a team that there will be random regular season games where they'll just mess around and try weird stuff, or some of their shooters aren't shooting or they're a team that's more prone to not take a regular season game seriously than Oklahoma City. And then also the final game of a 7-game road trip, they just had this back-to-back, and then they have to go to Boston and then to Oklahoma City. The last game of a road trip, everybody's going to be even more tired. So I'm never going to say the last game of a road trip is going to be the more likely game to win, especially against a team like Oklahoma City, who's just been a buzzsaw the whole year.
All right, Sean. I appreciate it, buddy. We'll catch up soon. Enjoy your day and enjoy the game tomorrow. And I'll talk to you on Thursday.
Yeah, you too.
There's Mr. Sean Highkin, our Trailblazer insider. It's weird. We've had 3 years of difficulty, and right now everything surrounding the team is nothing but positive. I like it. They're playing well. The young guys are developing, and we're seeing progress. Progress, which is good. All right, we'll keep things rolling here on the show. We're going to talk about those renderings, The Godfather. Dwight Jane's going to join me coming up at 5:20. He has not been on the show since the horrendous day of the chopping block. I love being a number on a spreadsheet. It makes me feel very comfortable about myself. All right, so The Godfather at 5:20. You can reach out to me on social at Chad and Rip City. And the Blazers back in action tomorrow in Boston to take on the Celtics and the Leprechaun. Tip-off at 4, game day at 2 here on 620 Rip City Radio. All right, Trailblazer Ticket Tuesday is coming up at 5. And today we have a pair of tickets for the New York Knickerbockers coming to Moda Center. I know East Coast Earl is going to be there. He's a big Knick fan. There's a lot of New York people out here, a lot of Knick fans. They're bumping around. They'll be at Moda Center, and it'll be a physical basketball game. Anytime the Knicks come to town right now with their coach, you know what you're going to get, physical play. That's going to be a heck of a basketball game, and look forward to it. That's a Tamani Kamara type of a game. Tamani Kamara, that's the type of game he wants to be a part of. Physical, and against a team that likes to defend. So we're going to give away a pair of tickets for the Knickerbockers coming up at 5. Trailblazer Ticket Tuesday. Every Tuesday throughout the entire season, courtesy of your Portland Trailblazers, we give away tickets. And we're going to do so at 5 for the New York Knicks who are coming to town. And, of course, on Sunday, it'll be Bill Walton night, the celebration of life for Bill Walton. Luke Walton will be in town with the Pistons. We talked with Johnny Davis, 40 straight minutes with JD, and Johnny was awesome. And the celebration night's going to be at Moda Center on Sunday, tip-off at 6. Tickets right now, just head on over to trailblazers.com and be a part of it. I think they're giving away tie-dye headbands for everyone, and it's going to be a celebration the entire night. So looking forward to that. How cool is that? How cool was Bill? How awesome was he in that championship Game 6? In fact, let me give you the stat line. I just want to read this off to you because it's one of the most incredible stat lines of all time since we're celebrating Bill Walton on Sunday. In the championship game against Philadelphia, Game 6 where they sealed it and became NBA champions forever, Bill Walton, 42 minutes of action, 20 points, 23 rebounds, 7 assists, and 8 blocks. That's one of the sickest stat lines in the history of stat lines. 20 points, 23 boards, 7 assists, and 8 blocks. He almost went quadruple-double just to win a championship. And Bill Walton will be celebrated on Sunday. I wanted to touch on the NFL for a moment. You know, we're getting some word out of the Combine, you know, with the whispers and some of the rumors that are flying around. It looks like Minnesota would like to keep Sam Darnold. They are not going to franchise tag him. That's what it looks like. They'll allow him to hit the open market and gauge what he is worth on the open market. And then I think the Vikings are probably hoping they can work out some type of deal. So the situation with Minnesota is interesting where Darnold's coming off a big year. He played terrific. He has revitalized his career completely like Baker Mayfield. He's going to get paid. But the Vikings would like to have him back. And with their coach, Coach O'Connell, and their team in that situation, it's probably best for Darnold to stay in Minnesota because it's a perfect fit. They have J.J. McCarthy, who's coming off the injury. And according to reports, he has lost weight, and they're not sure if he's going to be, you know, back to his playing weight and in the type of condition they need for the spring camps. So they would like a little insurance. You can bring back Darnold. He can play. You'll be a team that's in a position to compete. And then you can slow roll J.J. McCarthy. Or Darnold can hit the open market, get an absurd offer from somewhere else, maybe one that Minnesota doesn't foresee, and then he can choose to go there. Either way, Darnold's in a very good spot right now. And I like guys that we've seen like Baker, like Geno Smith, or Sam Darnold. I like guys who flame out with one team, and it's normally the Jets because they stink as a franchise. But you flame out, you continue to grind and battle, and then you put yourself in a position to get another opportunity, and Sam Darnold has done that. Now, if you listen to most of the reports, it looks like Cam Ward out of Miami via Washington State is the leader in the clubhouse for being the top quarterback picked in this upcoming draft, ahead of Shedeur Sanders. Now, the report on Shedeur Sanders is that he has come off as somewhat arrogant during his interviews or the people he spoke with during the course of the Combine. Now, that's not surprising. Shedeur Sanders is the son of Coach Prime, Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders is one of the greatest athletes of our time. Definitely in my lifetime, one of the greatest athletes ever. He and Bo Jackson. He played 2 sports like Bo. He's arguably the best cover corner in the history of the NFL. Incredibly fast, incredibly athletic, and he could do everything. He even played both ways. You need a receiver, I can do that. You want me to be a return specialist, I can do that. And I can lock down one side of the field with no problem. Deion Sanders is phenomenal. Love Coach Prime. Now, his son Shador, I think he's going to be a terrific quarterback. Not the athlete that his dad is. Doesn't have the speed, doesn't have the athleticism, not the same type of player, but he's a quarterback. I like his toughness. I like his accuracy. And we'll see what type of playmaker he can be in the NFL. And if there's one thing we learned from Bo Nix, it's that you may not have the most powerful arm, but if you can make all the throws and you're accurate, it doesn't matter. But it doesn't surprise me about Shador. I had one interaction with him a couple of years ago down at Pac-12 Media Day in Las Vegas. And of all the guys that I interviewed, and I thought it was just me, but then I had a chance to talk to others who were at Radio Row down in Vegas, and it wasn't just me. But the worst interview and the most difficult person to deal with of all the guys that I talked to that day was Shador. He sat down. I asked him some questions. It was awkward. And then he just took his headset off and walked away. The interview wasn't over. He just took his headset off and walked away. But you enjoyed the experience?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was great to watch you guys play and ball out. I talked to Travis Hunter, and it sounds like, you guys are focused on one thing and one thing only, and that's going out and competing and winning. Like, what are your expectations for year one?
Oh, good.
There you go. Thanks. You heard me there say thanks as he just took his headset off and walked away. Time wasn't up. Interview wasn't over, but Shador was done. That was not a great experience for me. I don't hold it against him. Who cares about me? I'm a dork. But he did come off as somewhat arrogant. But again, if I was Deion's son and I was going to be one of the top players taken in the draft, I might be similar to that. If I could throw footballs through tires like no problem, I could probably be like that too. Oh, well. I like watching Shador play. He's fun. But we'll see. We'll see how things shake out. I don't believe anything these teams say. I think Shador and Cam are going to probably go – I don't know if they're going to go 1 and 2. It doesn't sound like Tennessee's going to take a QB. They've got their eyes set somewhere else, but you're going to have two quarterbacks go in the top 5, and then Travis Hunter not far behind. All right, we'll keep things rolling. Trailblazer Ticket Tuesday, your chance to see the Knicks and Trailblazers is coming up next. All right, what's up, my friends? Chad here. It's now 5 o'clock. Don't forget Bill Walton Celebration Night coming up at Moda Center on Sunday. Tickets available at trailblazers.com. Well, Portland remains on fire. They bounced back after Sunday's loss to the Cavs and dropped the Sixers last night in Philly. They dominated with 68 points in the paint. Here's Coach Billups.
One of our points of emphasis in the game were trying to attack the paint, knowing that they were a really aggressive defense. If we can get past the line of scrimmage, felt like we'll be okay. We just kept attacking, and we did a good job of converting today.
Ant had a game-high 34-21 in the second half. Sharp, strong. 20 points, 11 boards, 5 assists. Double-double for Klingon. They're in Boston tomorrow. Tip at 4 here on 620 Rip City Radio. Blazers game day will kick off at 2. You can always check out any of our interviews on the iHeartRadio app. I spoke with Johnny Davis. He talked about Bill Walton today on the Rip City Drive. We'll talk with the Godfather, Dwight James, at 5:20. Trailblazer Ticket Tuesday comes up now. All right, just a little reminder, coming up next week here on 620 Rip City Radio, your home of the OSAA. We're going to carry every single game in the basketball tournament, both boys and girls, 22 total games from Wednesday through Saturday. And all you have to do is tune in to us for your chance to listen for all the games going down at Child Center. Every single game, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So it's going to be a tournament bonanza here on the Rip City Drive. All right, it's time to play your favorite thing, Trailblazer Ticket Tuesday. We're going to go Name That Tune. I thought about going Name That Movie, but I was afraid that Spaceballs might be a little bit obscure. I love Mel Brooks. I love Spaceballs, but I decided to go with the song instead of Spaceballs. Do you like that movie, Shaq?
But I was going to, what, your Schwartz is as big as mine?
Yeah. Oh, I see a Schwartz is as big as mine.
Oh, Mega Maid went from
Pizza the Hut. It's a good show. Great movie. Mel Brooks is a genius. But we're going to play Name That Tune. And all I need is the name and artist of the song. The first person with the correct answer will get a pair of tickets for the Trailblazers and the Knickerbockers. Now, if you're from New York and you're a Knicks fan, I would prefer that you don't win, but I guess it's open to you as well. So if you're a Knicks fan, then so be it. What do I care? All right? You can go and cheer on Thibodeau and his defense and the rest of that crew. All right? 503-248-0620 is the telephone number. Again, Trailblazer Ticket Tuesdays presented by me and your Portland Trailblazers. For all of your Trailblazer ticket needs, go to trailblazers.com/tickets. And don't forget about the game coming up on Sunday. The Detroit Pistons are in town, but most importantly, it's Bill Walton Celebration of Life Night. So all things Bill, which is great. 77 championship team will be there. It's all about Bill. We're going to celebrate the life and career of Bill Walton. He is a one of one, as Johnny Davis put it. There's no one like Bill Walton. All right, telephone number is 503-248-0620. 503-248-0620. Here it is. I need the name and artist of this song right here. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. Name that tune. First person with the correct answer gets a pair of tickets for the Trailblazers and the Knicks. Name an artist of this song. All right. There you have it. There you have it, my friends. Fire away. I want to hear from a Trailblazer fan. Show me your Name That Tune. 503-248-0620. Show me your Blazer. 503-248-0620. That's a darn good song. Very good song. Very, very good song. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. That artist, well, I don't want to share the story. I might give something away. I don't want to do that. Don't want to do it. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. It's Name That Tune. Your chance to go see the Knicks and the Trailblazers, courtesy of your Portland Trailblazers. 503-248-0620. Shacker is searching and scouring for the winner. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. The Trailblazers last night got a 17-point win over the Philadelphia 76ers. 34 from Anthony Simons. Shaedon Sharpe had a solid game, 20 points, 11 boards, 5 assists. Most importantly, he's bringing it on defense. Here's Coach Phillips after the game.
Really good. I thought his defense was good all night. I know he was disappointed in himself a little bit, giving up some big baskets last night, and this is how you respond. Come in, you're completely locked in. I think offense is easy for Shaedon. You know, he can make it look very easy. The defensive side is totally different. When he's locked in defensively, it makes his offense even easier. So I thought he was great. You know, a career high rebounding. We need those rebounds in a major way. I think he's maybe the most athletic guy in basketball. So I need him going to get those tough rebounds, and he did that tonight.
He did. He was terrific. I'm really impressed with the way he played. Double-double for Donovan Clingan. 13 points, 13 rebounds. Nice bounce back for him after fouling out Sunday against the Cavs.
It's just it's a part of his development. You know, I thought last night what he felt worse about today was he just felt he let the team down, not being able to be out there more. But this is how you learn. And Donovan is just such a winner, you know, that he cares about that. And I thought he did a really good job today of being focused on not fouling, but not putting himself in the position to do it. Staying vertical the whole time. Could have blocked a few more shots, but I said I'd rather stay in the game and just defend the rim. You know, it might not block it. So that's all we needed him to do, you know, was be solid, and he was definitely that.
Well, the Blazers got the win. They're now 15-6 in their last 21 games. They've won 5 of 6, and they're currently 4-1 on the 7-game road trip. The final 2 games will be Boston and Oklahoma City. All right, let's go out to the phones. Let's go to Ollie. Let's go to Ollie and see what he's got going on. Ollie, welcome to the show, my friend. Are you ready to play Name That Tune? Ollie. Ollie. Ollie, are you there? Yeah, it's not going to work, Ollie.
Bragging to his friends that he won some tickets?
There we go. Ollie. The phone connection's not going to work, my friend. That's not good. In fact, that's very bad. All right, name that tune. 503-248-0620. First person with the correct answer, name an artist of that song, will get a pair of tickets for the Blazers and the Knicks. 503-248-0620. I mean, Ollie was there. I thought he had it, and then his phone failed him. That's very unfortunate. It's like, Ollie, you're there. Are you ready to play Name That Tune? And then... All right, let's go back out to the phones. Joining us now on the program is Doris. Doris, welcome to the show.
Hi.
How are you?
Fine.
Well, you sound pretty happy. Are you ready to play Name That Tune?
Sure.
All right, take a listen to this clip right here, Doris. What's the name and artist of that song?
It's James Taylor, Shower the People.
All right, let's check the tape, Doris. One of the great singer-songwriters of our generation, James Taylor, with Shower the People. Doris, you just won a pair of tickets for the Knicks and Trailblazers.
Woo! Thanks.
You got it. Now, are you a big Trailblazer fan? Or you got someone in the family you're going to take with you? What's going on?
Yeah? I'll take my husband.
Oh, that's good. Little date night at Moda Center. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations, and thanks for listening. Thank you for listening, Doris.
Okay, thank you.
You got it. All right. You can put Doris on hold. Shacker will get your information, and there you have it. Sorry, Ollie. That's the phone situation there. I think Ollie might have been calling from the Greg Oden O phone. Remember that? What was the name of that company? Was that Cricket Wireless? Was that Cricket? Oh, well. I also had a pair of Brandon Roy headphones. They were cool until they broke. And then people said that that was very fitting. All right, other bad news out of the NBA. How about the Dallas Mavericks? I got this dropped on me this morning by Shams. Kyrie Irving is out rest of the year, torn ACL. Yay. So glad I'm not a Mavericks fan, but the Dallas Mavericks are officially, they're done. That is a calamity. And Nico Harrison from Tigard High School he might want to consider moving to Portland and running the Dallas Mavericks remotely because he's not going to be finding any friends in Dallas. So let me get this straight. The Mavericks had a top 3 player in the world in Luka, who was yet to enter his prime, and they were concerned about his hookah and his occasional consumption of beer, his conditioning, even though he had been remarkably durable and had carried them to the NBA Finals the year before. And they decided to deal him to the Lakers in exchange for 1 pick, 1 first-rounder, and Anthony Davis, an aging superstar not known for his health. He plays 1 game, gets hurt, and is now out for an extended stretch. And because they traded Luka, you have an increased load on their other aging superstar, Kyrie, and now he goes down with a knee. No matter how you slice it, that is a complete disaster. An absolute train wreck for the Dallas Mavericks. I don't understand it. The trade didn't make sense when it went down. It didn't make sense a few days after. It doesn't make sense now, and it just gets worse. If I was a Mavericks fan, I would be livid. Thanks a lot, Nico. Thanks a lot, Adelson Group. You just ruined the franchise. And most importantly, you got 1 first-round pick back in return, so we have no way to retool the franchise. And that was my whole point. It's like, wait a second. You're going to trade him for an aging superstar? So you got Kyrie and AD, who are near the end, and you just traded away Luka, who hadn't even entered his prime. And as a result, what do we have? We got nothing because now we have no tools to retool the franchise. And I talked to Gavin Dawson from Dallas last week. I said, where is this trade? How are we going to look at it 20 years from now? He very nonchalantly and quickly said the worst. Like, there's no way to slice it other than it was an awful idea. Dumb. Reprehensible. And now it's an unmitigated disaster. So, Maverick fans, I feel bad for you. I'm sorry that your leadership has let you down. And if you're looking for a new team, you can jump on the Trailblazers bandwagon. We got a lot of young players who are developing at a rapid rate, and you can sit back and enjoy. Trading Luka was crazy. It's insane. Totally insane. Top 3 player in the world. Well, we're concerned about his hookah and his beer drinking. Okay. Didn't he just carry you to the finals? Hasn't he been remarkably durable throughout his career thus far? Let's go out to Charlie in Vancouver. Charlie, I appreciate the phone call. What's on your mind?
Chad, just listening to you talk about, trying to understand the reason why Dallas what they did. Unfortunately, it just reminds me that a business is a business, and the people who own the Mavericks now maybe aren't that passionate about winning games, but instead are more passionate about not wanting to delve out $300 million to a basketball player. Even though it makes a lot of sense for your team, it may not make sense for their bottom line because, just going to be honest, you're going to kill me here, but I think Luka would have had a tough time winning a championship. I mean, he's just not a two-way player. We just lost Butch Blue, rest in peace. And I know he's up there saying the same thing in heaven, Charlie. You got to have 5 guys who can play defense, or at least 1 guy who doesn't make everybody else look a lot worse defensively. I love him. I agree. I still don't think Dallas should have did it. If you don't want to spend money, don't own an NBA team. But I think that's maybe why they did do it.
Well, no matter the reasons why they did it, it was still stupid, Charlie. And didn't he just carry him to the finals last year? I think he did. They just ran into a buzzsaw in the Boston Celtics, who were a better team. Yeah, it's dumb. And then they set up the Lakers for the next decade. Yeah, it was idiotic. It was foolish. Really dumb. And now it looks even worse with Kyrie down. All right, we'll come back and we'll talk about baseball in Portland. Is it going to happen? What about these renderings? The Godfather, Dwight Jaynes, going to join us next on the Rip City Drive. All right, what a pleasure this is. We welcome to the show the Godfather, Dwight Jaynes. And Godfather, you got to let me know. Remind me of the details of our Lakers bet because it sounds like I might be owing you another steak dinner.
Yeah, the bet, Chad, was you said that there's no way they could duplicate. I don't remember if you said duplicate or better the record they had last year, and I said no, I think they might. Of course, I knew way back then they were going to trade for Luka. I had that all forecast,
Yeah.
but anyway, that was the bet, and it was another trip down to El Gaucho. I think this one was dedicated to the Vancouver branch of El Gaucho.
Well, that's going to be a worthy trip. I did not anticipate the Lakers acquiring Luka, which is crazy. We'll talk about that in just a moment, but it's great to hear your voice, my friend. I wanted to ask you, I thought about you. You were the first person I thought of when I saw the renderings drop yesterday, but according to the report, the MLB stadium here in Portland would be that 33-acre site, which is nestled between the Tilcomb Crossing and Ross Island Bridge. With the news that broke and the renderings, do you have more hope that we're going to see Major League Baseball in Portland?
Chad, it's two important steps. Number one, they have a location they're comfortable with, and I understand that negotiations are ongoing to either purchase it or lease it, whatever you have to do. I'm not sure about that, but that's ongoing. The second thing is renderings in that spot. Now, you used a great word. You said nestled, and I think that's a really great word. I'm going to steal that from you because it's kind of nestled in there. I think it's going to be a little cozy fit, but I think all in all, it's a good location, and we can talk about the location. And I have a couple nitpicks with it, but we can get to that too later if you want.
Well, I guess the best part about that position for the stadium is it finally gives a reason for the Tilcomb Bridge to exist.
You have a way of putting things, Chad. That is absolutely true. A lot of people who've never stepped foot on it will probably get a chance to either walk across it, or I think they're going to have some shuttles if people can't or don't want to walk, especially if you're arriving 10 minutes before the game. You're not going to want to make that walk. You're going to want to go ahead and get a shuttle or something. Then I think they'll have some water taxis too. Which would be great. Like catching a water taxi in Lake Oswego or something would be really cool.
Oh.
So that you didn't have to fight the traffic or anything. You just jump on the boat and go.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I guess what I was curious about, Godfather, you and I, for good reason, and the majority of people here who are sports fans, we don't put a lot of faith in local leadership and government to be able to get something like this done in Portland. But with the election year and having some new faces in the council and new leadership, are we in a better position to make something like this happen now?
I'm not sure. They were in great position with the last mayor and council, and they're the ones that kind of passed the resolutions and were very fired up about it. I think the mayor is totally on board, the new mayor. The council, I have no idea. I would worry a little about it. There's more people, and that usually means more disagreement. But we'll just have to see. At this point, I don't know how much of it's necessary because the city has already kind of gotten into bed with the whole project, and I think it would be hard to extricate from that. But it looks pretty good. My impatience, Chad, is with baseball and with the NBA, both, because they're both facing inevitable expansion, and they just won't pull the trigger on it. I mean, come on, let's go. Get with it, because they're asking cities to step forward, but there's nothing official at all going on, and it's unfortunate. Let's find out one way or the other what's going on.
All right, the interesting part of the report, and you probably know more about this, but according to the report here, quote, we asked legislators to revisit SB 5, originally passed in 2003, and update the law to better reflect the current revenue generated by players' salaries and the rising cost to build a world-class stadium in downtown Portland. That's Craig Cheek. He also went on to say this would be a new tax, not be a new tax on Oregonians. We look forward to working with the legislator to make Oregon better with baseball. Lawmakers passed Bill 5 back in 2003, which would allow a Portland baseball team to use the state income taxes generated by the team's payroll, essentially the taxes players pay on their salaries would automatically be sent back to the team's front office, allowing up to $150 million for a stadium. Now, they also say to pay for the upfront costs of constructing the stadium, Portland Diamond Project would need the legislator to agree to modernize the law to stay up to date with inflation, current construction costs, and current player salaries. Do you think they can get over the financial hurdles, Godfather?
I would hope so, because no matter what the legislature comes up with, it's going to be a very tiny part of the cost of this whole thing. The ownership of the team is going to pay most of it, and it's going to be a pretty sweetheart deal for the city of Portland, no matter what they do with this. But yeah, the whole idea is, come on now, the salaries of players have gone way, way up from what they were, just as the construction costs have gone way, way up for a stadium. So let's just hike that up a little bit. It shouldn't cost taxpayers anything, because you're just taking a bigger share out of the taxes that the players will be paying. And not only the players, but the front office staff and everyone. It's my understanding pretty much everybody that works for the team, their state taxes will go to the construction of the ballpark. And I think that's a fair thing to do. And I don't think it hurts the private citizens at all, because if baseball doesn't come here, they're not going to be paying any more or any less or anything else. So why not?
All right. Of the different sites that have been reported, the Lloyd Center Mall, the Terminal 2 site, the Red Tail Golf Course, or this one here next to the Tillicum Bridge, which of those sites do you think is best?
Well, I liked the Terminal 2 spot a lot. That proved to be not very workable, as I understand it. But this one, what bothers me is there's no room around it. And I'm not talking about parking. I'm talking about all the things you want along with the ballpark. You want the restaurants, the nightclubs, the businesses that are aligned with sports. You know what I'm talking about, Chad. Just another revenue stream around the ballpark. Now, there'll be a little of that there, but most of it is going to be across the river, where it's my understanding a parking garage is planned over by OMSI somewhere. And so people will commute over to the ballpark, which there'll be shuttles. There'll be, you can walk it. There'll even be water taxis, I'm sure. And so that's workable, but not quite as nice as what I would have thought. And so, but in terms of a beautiful site, it's going to be great. You're going to see Mount Hood in the background, and splash down home runs are a big deal now in baseball, and you're going to see that in right field. So I like all that, Chad. Here's a couple things that I'm not sure of, okay? Number one, the seating capacity is 32,000. Now, I recognize they are building ballparks smaller now because they know they're making all the money off TV anyway. They want it to be a hard ticket to get. They want their tickets to be, they want to be sold out every game. And they likely will be, believe it or not. And I would like to see up to maybe 36,000, 37. That's a nitpick. The other thing is it's not a domed stadium. It's not enclosed. What's there is basically a canopy that's going to come over the top of the stadium. So you could sit in that ballpark and not get rained on, but it's open air, and so it's going to be cold. And I think that's going to keep them from bidding on some of those big winter items like Final Fours, WrestleManias, all those things that bring in, big, huge crowds and a lot of people from outside the area. And that would be a tough sell in January, February, March, all through our months of a lot of cold weather.
Well, I think those are reasonable concerns, Godfather. The one question I would have about not having that area be a destination point, it could be don't you think it could be a bit of a oversight or a mistake where if you rush to get that stadium site built, but yet it's not a destination point to where you have all of these sports-type businesses and restaurants surrounding it, that 10 years from now, it'll be a dead area when there's no game, and we'll be wondering what they should do with that area. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I certainly do, and I share your concerns, Chad. One of the reasons you build these things is for the associated real estate around the ballpark. That's what everybody's doing, whether it's baseball, basketball, football. The whole idea is it's a real estate deal, and you want that land around it. Now, they think they can approximate that with everything across the river. And there'll be certain things, I'm sure, near the ballpark. But, and maybe they'll be able to acquire land around the ballpark the way that people have done around Wrigley Field in Chicago, where there didn't used to be much around there but apartments and things like that, but they've been able to acquire a lot of property in and around the ballpark. So, yeah, that may work, Chad, but I share your concerns with that. But at this point, I want the baseball here. I got to tell you, I'd probably be pretty good wherever they put it. Get it here. That's the first concern I would have. So,
yeah.
And I fully think, and I think you share my opinion on this, I fully think it would be well supported. I don't think there'd be any problem at all drawing good crowds in what is basically the off season for basketball.
A lot of people have asked and are wondering, like, who is actually going to be the owner of this team?
Well, Chad, I'm not going to lie to you and say that I don't know, but I know who they are. I couldn't actually put names on them. I know what they do. I'm familiar with a lot of it, but nobody's going to get named on this until it's pretty far down the road, because guys with this kind of money, people with this kind of money, don't want to be associated with failure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's the guy who tried to get baseball here and couldn't do it. They don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
And especially, baseball has its screening process of the owners. Well, what if you fail that? It's like, oh, gosh, that's a black mark on your reputation. So I think that's part of the problem. There's no way they're going to say who they are. Just trust me, though. I've been told by people, not only in Portland, but other cities, ownership is the easiest part now. There's a whole bunch of younger, middle-aged billionaires looking to associate themselves with sports teams, and a lot of them don't even care what sport it is. They just want to get in there and have a team and be one of the club that owns one of these teams.
Yeah. Would it help if baseball came out and named Portland as an expansion site? Would that help speed up the process?
Oh, yeah. Then you can start building the thing. And see, I think it's a tough sell to get people, ownership to spring for a ballpark, as much as it costs, if you don't know for sure you're getting a team. That's kind of a bad gamble that I wouldn't take as an owner. It's happened in the past that people have done that. It happened in Tampa Bay. They built thinking they were going to get the Giants, and then they didn't. So I wouldn't want to do that. So, yeah, if he came out, and really I think it's going to come down between, because they want a team in the West for sure. It's going to be Utah or Portland. And let me tell you, if we lose that after losing hockey to Utah, we can't lose baseball to Utah either.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, we've already lost the NBA All-Star game twice to Utah. We lose hockey, and now we're going to lose baseball. Then we do suck.
That's right. There's no other way to put it. We suck if we do that.
All right.
suck.
I want to ask you about the Luka trade. I mean, I couldn't believe it today when I saw that Kyrie Irving was down with an ACL. I felt bad for him. I can't imagine being a Mavericks fan right now, but I mean, the trade was bad when it went down, Godfather, but how bad does it look right now for the Mavericks? Unbelievable.
It's horrible. It's horrible. It is. And I think I wouldn't be surprised to see him just tank it on out the rest of the season. I feel bad for those fans because they're great fans of Dallas. People don't know this, but, I mean, they're probably number 2 to the Cowboys. They're probably more than the Rangers are. It's big in Dallas, and they've won a championship with Dirk, and Dirk was still is a big hero in that town, and Luka was on his way to being the same thing, and it's just a shame.
It's
really
amazing.
Is.
Well, what I don't understand is, like, if you reach a point where you're like, we want to trade Luka because we're afraid to invest $350 million into him, like I wouldn't go there, but let's say you get to that point, why wouldn't you go after like 5, 6, or 7 first-round picks to have the assets to retool your franchise after Luke is gone? That's the part that's so troubling to me.
Trust me, Chad, it's troubling to all of us, I think. I think I can understand if they have, and I'm sure, Chad, look, Nico's not a dumb guy, okay? He had his reasons to do this, and they might very well be good reasons. I don't know. I don't think anybody knows. But the real mistake was not opening it up and getting the most for him that you can. And along with that, the Lakers are the last team you want to trade him to. What are you doing? You're in the Western Conference. I mean, that part of it stinks as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
They knew that, and they also knew that they could get more for him from somebody else. And I don't know. That's a tough one to figure.
All right, one more question for you. Just your impressions on what Chauncey Billups has done with this young team, development of the young players, and just the way that they're coming together, especially on defense, starting to understand some of the concepts and execute.
Well, Chad, and I think you and I have been on that side all along. Chauncey can coach. And over this time in Portland, he's gotten to be a better coach. He has developed these guys really well. He's done a great job. And now that they're trying to win, he has the handcuffs off. He can actually coach a little differently. And these guys are playing hard for him. And let me tell you something else, Chad. If they don't pick up his option next year, I don't think he's going to be disappointed at all, because there might be a better job out there for him than this one. And he might just get it when people have seen how far these guys have come under his tutelage. And I think that's a real thing. I think if they were smart, they might try to get him next year too, and make sure that he's on board with that.
Well, you know what's amazing,
he's
Godfather?
done a great job.
Yeah, you know what's amazing? Like, we were wondering, like last year with his record, if it would impact his ability to get a job again. But after this year, he'll be able to jump right back in the coaching ranks. I don't doubt that at all.
Absolutely. Anybody who thought this was going to be like a 2-year turnaround was crazy. And I think we kept our heads on straight, talked about it the right way. Development is all you can be concerned with. People thought he was a bad coach because they were losing games. Well, they were supposed to lose games. That was all part of the plan. And all the things that went into that were not all his fault, So I think now he's in a real tough position, because they're not going to get one of the top 3 picks unless they get supremely lucky in the draft. It's just not going to happen for him.
I was going to tell you, I had never spoke with or interviewed Johnny Davis, but I talked to him today. What a cool guy he is.
Oh, yeah, he's great.
God.
He's great. Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. Godfather, 11 years playing, 24 years as a coach, 3 years as an executive, man. He carved out an entire career through basketball. It's awesome.
Yeah. Well, smart player, smart guy. That's the whole secret there. And very relatable with players. Was a great assistant coach wherever he went. Everybody loved him wherever he was an assistant. And, we've been blessed in Portland with so many great guys over the years. That's one thing I would say. Other than the Whitsitt years when there were the whole Jailblazers thing, other than that, the front office has done a great job, Joe Cronin included, done a great job of bringing players in who fit the community and really became very good citizens of Portland, Oregon.
That's terrific. They're going to celebrate Bill Walton on Sunday. I'm still looking at this stat line from the Game 6 of the title game that you covered. 20 points, 23 rebounds, 7 assists, and 8 blocks for Bill in that game. That is sick.
Yeah, that's pretty good, isn't it? I would think. 8 blocks. You win a title and the guy's got 8 blocks, let alone his scoring and his assists and his rebounds.
He almost went quadruple-double. Yeah, it's crazy.
I know.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, he was pretty good. If they could have ever kept that guy healthy, oh, my goodness, there'd be a lot of banners hanging up.
Well, you're the man, Godfather. It's great to hear your voice. I get people asking me all the time how you're doing, so now they get to find out you're good. So that's good.
Yeah. Well, we're taking it day by day, Chad, but yes, I'm good.
Well,
I'm good, and it's a lot of fun to be on with you again.
Yeah, and it's a lot of fun when radio conglomerates make decisions too. Really enjoy that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's good.
Well, they're the only ones. This company's not the only ones doing that. So I take solace in that, and take solace in the fact I was one of many, including some guys way better than me.
Yeah, that's true. All right, buddy, we'll catch up soon, and I look forward to buying you another steak dinner in the near future.
I look forward to it too, Jack. Thank you.
There you go. There's the Godfather, Dwight Jaynes. All right, so you heard his thoughts and some of the concerns about the renderings. I mean, the pictures are amazing. I can't imagine a ballpark like that in Portland. It would be spectacular. All right, we'll keep things rolling. You got the Rip City Drive with Chad doing. Well, it certainly is nice to hear the Godfather's voice. I miss him so much. And I've learned a lot from the Godfather over the years, that's for sure. Very smart, very smart. And he's been on this campaign for baseball in Portland for a long time. And I would be happy to see him at the ballpark for the very first game and finally seeing that dream be realized here in Portland with a Major League Baseball team. But for me and for many people who have been out here for a long period of time, it feels just like that, a dream. And those renderings, see, I don't even want to take my mind there because I get too excited and I don't like to be let down. Let's go out to Sean and Sandy. Sean, what's up, my friend? Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, brother, it's good to hear the Godfather's voice. I'm with you, man. He's a wealth of knowledge, and he remembers back when the Giants were coming here, and they said maybe the Giants had a chance of coming to Portland. But I'll tell you why we ain't getting a baseball team. See, the reason we ain't getting a baseball team is because when you look at the investors in the cities, the 82 major cities in the United States, this week I just seen a report, Portland's 80th for investors. And when you got Utah over there, the Salt Lake City and Portland, that's an easy toss-up, brother. Because you know why they're going to do it? It's because it's better for baseball. It's better for Major League Baseball. See, most people are lucky to be within 3 or 4 hours of a Major League Baseball team. And when you open up a Major League Baseball team in Salt Lake City, which is a better investment city, you open a whole new market because we're still going to be going to Mariners games. And Major League Baseball knows that. I want a Major League Baseball team. I've been listening about this all my life, just like the Godfather has. But right now, from what I hear and the way the things are, it ain't going to happen, brother. It's not going to happen.
I appreciate the phone call, Sean, and I'm sure you're not the only one that feels that way. Again, for me, it's like any of those things you hear about for years and years, and people talk about it happening, and then you think it's coming together, but it never happens. I think eventually I just kind of put it out of my mind. I do think that the Portland Diamond Project, they got some sharp people there, and they've got a plan. I don't have a lot of faith in the local leadership in government, but I hope I'm wrong because it would be terrific to be able to see something like that go down and have a ballpark in the city. All right, 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. Big thanks to the Godfather Dwight James, Sean Hyken, and Johnny Davis for joining the show today. I want to encourage everyone to go to our website, RipCityRadio.com. We have our 50-50 raffle benefiting ALS Northwest, courtesy of our good friends at Coors Light. And we've got just over a week left before we announce the winner. And the jackpot is increasing, so you've got a chance to win a nice little chunk of change. But go to our website and pull up the calendar page, and you'll see the story there for the 50-50 raffle benefiting ALS Northwest. Click on it, and then you'll have the link right there to buy your tickets. 400 tickets for 100, 100 tickets for 50, 25 for 25, or 5 tickets for 10. I don't care if you buy 5 tickets or 400 tickets or 800 tickets or whatever the number is. Whatever you decide to spend is fine with me because it all benefits ALS Northwest, which helps families who have been stricken with this horrendous disease to be able to have the resources necessary to make all the preparations they need to give care to their loved one with ALS. So we're doing something special to help the community. Mike Lynch, formerly of the Trailblazers, who was a part of their radio team, he was diagnosed in his 30s last year. And I wanted to do something to help him, and that's why we're making an effort to benefit ALS Northwest. So this is helping a very good cause. So go to our website, RipCityRadio.com. It's presented by Coors Light, the 50-50 raffle benefiting ALS Northwest. 400 tickets for 100, 100 tickets for 50, 25 for 25, or 5 for 10. Now, you do have to be within the Oregon state lines to purchase the raffle tickets based on the regulations and the laws. So for my friends over in the Southwest Washington area, over in the Couve, just make the trip across the bridge like you would if you were going to get into sports action down at Plaid Pantry. Make the drive over the bridge, buy your tickets, and then you're set. But please help out. And you've got a chance to win some money in the process. So you have a chance to win money. It's going to benefit ALS Northwest. and we get a chance to do something special. So please jump on board. Go to the website, ripcityradio.com. Go to the calendar page. You'll find the story right there for the 50-50 raffle benefiting ALS Northwest. And buy your tickets. 400 tickets for 100, 100 tickets for 50, 25 for 25, or 5 tickets for 10. So a big thanks to our friends at Coors Light for powering this, and we can all make a difference. And this is a horrendous disease. Let's go back out to the phones. Let's go to Jackie in Sherwood. Jackie, welcome back to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, happy Tuesday, Chad.
It's nice to hear your voice.
Oh, thanks. Okay, now I have a couple of gripes.
Okay. Fire away.
So it's at the end of the Laker game the other night. I mean, it's been a while. You know, the Lakers were going to win, and at about 3 to 4 seconds remaining, LeBron James is walking off the floor into the locker room, and that just is so disrespectful.
I saw him do that.
I hate that.
Yeah, he just walked right into the locker room. He was out of there.
Jerk. My second thing, The Godfather is a wealth of information, and it's just heartbreaking that he's not on this broadcast. And I know it's a decision that was already made, but what a mistake. The Godfather is amazing.
Well, Jackie, you're 2 for 2. You just hit a home run. Nice job. Grand slam. Jackie is officially 2 for 2 on the day. Getting rid of The Godfather was a mistake. Check. And LeBron James is selfish. Check. You're right. You're 100% dead on, Jackie. That's a very good call. I saw him walk right off the floor. But, of course, I don't like LeBron, so pretty much whatever he does, I don't like. But, yeah, it's like, come on, man. Just stay a couple of moments and shake a couple of hands and then move into the locker room. Is that too much to ask, Bron? It is? Okay, sorry. My bad. My bad for asking you or, thinking you might show a little sportsmanship in the moment. Oh, well, you got the win, so congrats. And as far as The Godfather, yes, the decision was out of my hands, and it sucks. And he has a wealth of knowledge. The great thing about The Godfather, he works scriptless. So everything that you hear from him is right there in his noggin. He's crusty around the old edges, but, man, he's super sharp, razor-sharp dome. Very smart. All right, big thanks to our guest, Michael Shacker, for engineering the program. No Rip City Drive tomorrow because we have an early Trailblazer game. Game day at 2. I'll have the Trailblazer pregame show at 3.